This is my Mexicola Avocado. I bought this tree in April of 2016. It was a young tree estimated to be around a year old. The tree did well, putting on good growth and even flowered within a few months after being purchased. It wound up dropping all its flower buds without setting any fruit, but it did very well, putting on a good amount of branching. Then in 2018, it started to lose its leaves. Eventually, it lost all the leaves and several branches had dried. I wasn't sure what was going on with the tree. I did a little research and found that avocados are highly susceptible to root rot, so I decided to see if I could save this tree. By this time, the tree had put on a good amount of growth and was standing at about 5 feet tall. The majority of its branches had dried and the tree looked pretty much dead. It didn't have any leaves on it at all. I wound up cutting off all the dead branches. The leader branch was cut all the way down to here, which was more than half of its original height. I also removed the tree from the container and discovered there was a foul odor coming from the bottom portion of the soil. It appeared that the tree was starting to develop root rot. I removed the rotten soil and sprinkled some mycorrhiza on the exposed roots. I added some good draining soil mix with a little azomite mixed in. I also drilled a few extra drain holes in the bottom. I also lined the bottom of the container with some lava rock before placing the tree back into the container. Within a very short time, the tree started to put on some new growth. The following year, in 2019, it flowered but failed to hold on to any fruit. Then in 2020, it flowered again, and I wound up getting just one avocado to set. Although it put on a really good set of flowers, only this avocado managed to reach maturity. Here it is compared to a recent harvest off my Hass avocado. I'd like to point out that the Mexicola took considerably less time than the Hass to reach maturity. Several weeks ago, I had harvested my very first Hass avocado off this tree. It took about 11 months to go from flower to harvest. The Mexicola, on the other hand, flowered in early August and the fruit was harvested in early January, so flower to fruit off this tree was only about 5 months. I'm sure the fact that it only produced one avocado may have helped speed up the process slightly, but even so, that's considerably faster than the Hass. As far as the taste, both the Hass on the left and the Mexicola next to it have great flavor. I did notice that the Mexicola has more of a creamier texture than the Hass. The Mexicola was also slightly larger than the Hass, but again, that is likely due to the fact that the Mexicola only produced this one avocado as opposed to the Hass, which produced well over 20. Hopefully this next harvest off the Mexicola will be better. As you can see, the tree has put on a good amount of flower buds that are almost ready to bloom, and it is looking very healthy. It has it hasn't put on much height since I cut it back. That's mainly due to the fact that the leader branch was severely cut back. As a result, the tree is probably not going to put on much more height. I expect this tree is going to take on growth characteristics similar to that of a brush. That's fine. I'll probably just keep it in a container. I'll likely transplant it to a bigger size container after I harvest any fruit that may develop off these flowers. I'd also like to mention that I recently gave this tree a topsoil dressing. The topsoil mix consisted of some worm castings, chicken manure, peat moss, and an organic soil mix. I also mixed in some azomite. Before adding the topsoil mix, I removed some of the existing soil in order to slightly expose the top of the root ball. I then added some pumice around the trunk of the tree. I used some wire mesh around the base in order to hold in the pumice. Then added the soil mix to the top of the planter. I then added some wood chips to complete the process. I usually do this once a year in early spring. This time around, since the tree was putting on a heavy set of flowers, I decided to do it now. I also did this to the avocado. One more thing that I'd like to point out that is notably different between both these trees is the Hass is a bit more sensitive to cold weather. Every winter this tree gets a little cold damage. In my area, we get relatively mild winters compared to other parts of the country. Usually during the winter months, we get down to the low to mid 40s. Some of the leaves will turn brown and fall off, but it always recovers. It'll put on new growth once spring rolls around. The Mexicola, as you can see, doesn't really lose many leaves due to cold damage. It seems to handle the cold much better than the Hass. At least in my area, that seems to be the case. I also wanted to give you another update on my ice cream banana. It's starting to push out bananas. This is the first time I'll be getting fruit off this variety, so I'm not exactly sure how long it will take for these to ripen. I'm also growing a dwarf Cavendish banana. I've harvested some bananas off of that variety before, which took about 5 months to go from flower to harvest. Hopefully the ice cream variety will take about the same amount of time. As I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I've been tracking the progress, so I'll be sure to post a flower to harvest video as soon as the fruit is harvested off this plant. And here is my starfruit tree. It put on a heavy set of flowers back in August. Back then it was one of the heaviest set of flowers this tree has ever produced. Here's what it looked like back then. There were flowers throughout the whole tree. Just about every branch was loaded with flower buds. It did have a few leaves that had turned yellow, but overall the tree was looking healthy. Shortly after taking this video, it was hit with the severe case of chlorosis. This is what it looked like. It wound up bouncing back after a few applications of chelated iron. I didn't think I was going to get any fruit to set, but it managed to produce a few good-sized fruit. This tree has been growing in this 15-gallon container for over 3 years. It's considered a fast-growing tree, so I'll be transplanting this to a bigger container as soon as I harvest the fruit. And speaking of harvest, I'll be picking off all the lemons off this Meyer lemon tree. I recently posted a video on this tree which showed some large fruit developing that looked more like grapefruit. I had a YouTube viewer comment that it might be the rootstock pushing out the large fruit. Here's a clip from that video so you can see what I was talking about. As you can see, there are a few lemons that look more like grapefruit. And if you look closely, you can see that they are all coming off the same branch. This is the branch I wound up cutting off, by the way. I did allow the fruit to reach maturity before cutting off the branches. I just wanted to sample the fruit to see if it would be worth leaving on the tree. It wasn't any good. It was dry and the flavor was bland. Not good at all. Here's where I made that cut. It turned out that the YouTube viewer was right. By the way, thank you for that. Much appreciated. Hopefully now that there won't be any more wasted energy going towards that branch from the rootstock. Hopefully I'll get a better harvest next season. Before closing out in this video, I'd like to show you this peach tree, which I also recently posted a video on. Here we are in mid-January, and this peach tree is has already pushed out several flowers, and it's got a whole bunch of other flower buds here that are getting ready to bloom. This tree is starting to bloom way too early in the season. That's what I was talking about in the previously posted video. We'll see how the fruit turns out, if it does manage to set any fruit. Well, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. I hope you are all doing well. As always, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.